George Washington. The name echoes through American history. He is known as the father of his country. Washington led the fight for American independence. He became the first president of the United States. His leadership and vision shaped a nation. Washington was born in 1732. He grew up in a world of colonial Virginia. Life was challenging, but he learned valuable lessons. He learned about hard work and perseverance. He learned about leadership and responsibility. Washington's life was not always easy. He faced many obstacles, but he always rose to the challenge. He did so with courage and determination. He is an inspiration to all Americans. The United States owes a great debt to George Washington. His contributions were many. His impact is still felt today. Let us explore the life and legacy of this remarkable man. George Washington was born on February 22, 1732. His birthplace was Pope's Creek, Westmoreland County, Virginia. He grew up on a plantation called Ferry Farm. The plantation was on the Rappahannock River. Washington's father, Augustine, was a planter. Augustine also was a justice of the peace. George's mother, Mary Ball Washington, was a strong and intelligent woman. She instilled in her son the importance of honesty and integrity. Washington's formal education was limited. He attended school until he was about 15. He excelled in mathematics and surveying. He was also a gifted horseman. Even without extensive schooling, Washington was a lifelong learner. He read widely and cultivated his mind. He was especially interested in history, geography, and agriculture. At the age of 16, Washington embarked on a career as a surveyor. This profession took him to the western frontier of Virginia. He surveyed lands for Thomas, Lord Fairfax. Fairfax was a wealthy landowner. Surveying was demanding work. It required physical endurance and mental acuity. Washington faced dangers from wild animals and hostile Native American tribes. These experiences on the frontier were invaluable. They honed Washington's leadership skills. He learned to navigate the wilderness. He learned to manage men. He learned to negotiate with Native American leaders. The skills he acquired as a surveyor would serve him well in the years to come. He was developing into a resourceful and resilient leader. He was gaining a deep understanding of the land and its people. In 1754, the French and Indian War erupted in the Ohio Valley. This conflict pitted Great Britain and its American colonies against France and its Native American allies. The war was part of a larger global struggle for power and dominance. Washington, then a young militia officer, was thrust into this conflict. He was sent to the Ohio Valley to assert British claims to the region. He experienced both victory and defeat in the early stages of the war. In 1755, Washington served under the command of General Edward Braddock. Braddock's mission was to capture Fort Duquesne from the French. The mission ended in disaster. Braddock was killed and his army was routed. Despite the setbacks, Washington's courage and leadership during the war did not go unnoticed. He gained valuable military experience. He earned the respect of his men. He also developed a keen understanding of the strengths and weaknesses of the British Army. Section 5. Leading the Revolution. Following the French and Indian War, tensions grew between Great Britain and its American colonies. The British government imposed a series of taxes on the colonies. These taxes were met with resistance. Colonists argued that they should not be taxed without representation in Parliament. In 1775, the conflict escalated into armed rebellion. The Second Continental Congress appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Continental Army. Washington, though reluctant at first, accepted the responsibility. Washington faced a daunting task. The Continental Army was poorly trained and equipped. He had to contend with British regulars, who were among the best soldiers in the world. He also had to maintain the morale of his troops, often in the face of defeat and hardship. Despite the odds, Washington persevered. He proved to be a brilliant strategist and a charismatic leader. He won key victories at Trenton and Princeton, New Jersey. These victories boosted the morale of the Continental Army and proved that the Americans could defeat the British. Section 6. First in Peace. After a long and arduous struggle, the American Revolution ended in 1783 with the Treaty of Paris. Great Britain recognized the independence of the United States. George Washington, hailed as a hero, retired to his beloved Mount Vernon. Washington, however, was not destined for a life of quiet retirement. The newly independent nation faced numerous challenges. The Articles of Confederation, the first government of the United States, proved to be weak and ineffective. In 1787, Washington was elected chairman of the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia. The delegates to the convention drafted a new constitution. This constitution created a stronger federal government with a system of checks and balances. Washington's presence at the convention lent it credibility and helped to ensure its success. With a new government in place, Washington was the unanimous choice to serve as the first president of the United States. He was inaugurated on April 30, 1789 in New York City. Section 7. Shaping the Presidency. As the first president, George Washington faced the formidable task of setting precedents for the new nation. Every decision he made would shape the future of the presidency. He approached this responsibility with his characteristic sense of duty and his unwavering commitment to the principles of Republican government. Washington established a cabinet system, appointing trusted advisors to head executive departments. He worked with Congress to create a functioning federal government. He also established the principle of presidential neutrality in foreign affairs, a policy that would guide American foreign policy for generations to come. During his 2 terms in office, Washington faced numerous challenges. He dealt with domestic unrest, such as the Whiskey Rebellion. He navigated the treacherous waters of international relations, steering the young nation clear of entangling alliances. Throughout his presidency, Washington remained committed to the ideals of liberty, justice, and unity. He believed that the success of the American experiment depended on the virtue and self-government of its citizens. Section 8. A Farewell to Arms. In 1796, after 2 terms as president, George Washington made the momentous decision to retire from public life. He delivered his farewell address, a document that has resonated through American history. In his address, Washington warned against the dangers of political factions, sectionalism, and foreign entanglements. Washington's farewell address was a testament to his wisdom and his deep concern for the future of the nation he had helped to create. It was a call for unity, for civic virtue, and for a foreign policy based on national interest rather than ideology. After leaving office, Washington returned to Mount Vernon. He enjoyed a brief period of retirement, tending to his plantation and spending time with his family. However, his service to his country was not yet over. In 1798, when war with France seemed imminent, President John Adams appointed Washington as Commander-in-Chief of the Army. Washington reluctantly accepted, putting aside his desire for retirement to serve his nation once more. Section 9. A Legacy of Liberty. George Washington died on December 14, 1799, at Mount Vernon. His death was a national tragedy. The nation mourned the loss of its founding father, the man who had led them to independence and guided them through the early years of their republic. Washington's legacy is immeasurable. He is revered as the father of his country, a symbol of American independence, leadership, and integrity. His contributions to the founding and development of the United States are unparalleled. Washington's life and career exemplify the ideals of civic virtue, self-sacrifice, and devotion to the common good. He is remembered not only for his military and political achievements but also for his character, his unwavering commitment to principle, and his deep love for his country. George Washington's life and legacy continue to inspire generations of Americans. His example reminds us that leadership requires courage, wisdom, and a steadfast commitment to the principles of liberty and justice for all.